You're listening to the Master Passive Income Podcast Network. Welcome to the Master Passive Income Show. My name's Dustin Heiner, and I'm here to help you get financial independence, quit that JOB, that just overbroke job, by investing in real estate. And in today's show, I am super pumped to share with you the ways that people screw up when investing in real estate. And I saw this back in 2006, and it looks like it's happening all over again. And I'm going to show you how to invest the right way and not make mistakes. All right, let's start the show.
Welcome to the Master Passive Income Podcast, where we talk about investing in real estate with a special focus on making enough money so you can quit your job and live the dream life. And now, here is your host, Dustin Heiner.
What's up? What's up? Super blessed as always to have you here with me on the show. Now, I can't wait for you to hear this investor share his story and hopefully get you excited that you can invest in real estate yourself, and you could also achieve financial freedom, because what we look at is making cash flow, building income every single time we buy a property. And we do not buy a property unless it makes us money. Now, the other thing that is amazing, we do not buy a property unless it saves us money in taxes. Now, if you think about taxes in general, we spend, if you're working a dead-end JOB, you're probably spending at least 50% of the amount of money that you make, you're paying taxes. So just imagine this. Instead of 50%, just think of you're working from January all the way to the end of June for the government, to give the government money instead of putting money in your pocket. So 50% of your money that you make goes to the government. The other half, from July to December, that's when you're actually making money. Because, you know, the government will always take their money. There's nothing so certain than death and taxes. Those are the two things that will always come. It's a proven fact. 100% of the people die in this world. And it's a proven fact. The governments will always be taxing their people. Now, when we buy real estate, we save so much money in taxes, because if you're working a job, you're paying the highest tax rate. Now, some people might say, well, the billionaires, they don't pay the same taxes as other people that work a job. I'm like, 100%. You're absolutely right. Now, they do pay a ton more in total dollars, but what they're not telling you is that percentage rate. If somebody working a W-2 pays more percentage in taxes, but the total dollar amount gets paid by the billionaires. Billionaires pay more in total dollar amount, but their tax rate is so much less because the tax laws are written for them. Now, what the rich do is they get into politics and they make sure that they create laws that benefit them. So I figure, why not play by their own rules? Like, you're not stopped by other means, like the government stopping you from playing by these rules. You can absolutely play by the rules that are created. And if you become a real estate investor, become a business owner, you get out of working a W-2, a dead-end JOB, a just overbroke job, like I like to say, well, then you're taxed differently. You're taxed not at this highest tax rate, because if you think about it, you're paying income tax, you're paying property tax, you're paying sales tax. If you have a car, you register, that's another tax. If you have a dog or a cat, you have to register them, which is another tax. You go fishing, another tax. Hunting, another tax. When you make money, when you spend money, when you die, like every single time money is transferred, you get taxed by the government. Now, I want you to be thinking like the rich and think that these laws and these regulations and IRS tax code that were created for them, that you can use these as well. And my student that I'm bringing on today, he, in 4 months, has bought in 4 properties. And here at Master Passive Income, that's what we do, is help our students to get amazing success. And his success is not like one-off, like this is a random person. In fact, that's why I still have this podcast, is because we've helped thousands of students now to do this, which is super fun. It's a blessing for me. And here's the reason why I do this. See, when I buy a property, I have an accomplishment. It feels great, but I don't feel fulfilled in my life. In fact, an accomplishment breeds another. You have to have another accomplishment. And then when I quit my job, I thought, man, that was a great accomplishment. I need more. I don't really feel fulfilled in my life. But when I started coaching and I coached my first student to buy their first property, that is when I felt fulfilled. Not an accomplishment. It's their accomplishment, but I feel fulfilled because I helped another human being get what they most wanted in life on the path to financial freedom. And then, especially when they quit their job because that was their goal, it's like, oh my goodness, praise the Lord. I'm excited for you. Thank you for allowing me to be there with you along the process because I make my money through real estate. This is all just fun. So I appreciate you listening to the show. And I want you to get started right away. In fact, I will give you my real estate investing course completely for free. Text the word rental, RENTAL, to 33777. Rental to 33777, or you can go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course. And this is a full course. So you how to find an area in the country, anywhere in the country to invest. We love investing out of state. How to buy the property, how to build the business, how to make sure you're making cash flow every single month, and how to scale to become financially independent. This is a full course. So you better get this because I want you to get started right now because we are entering in the best time ever to invest in real estate. Properties are sitting on the market so much longer. Prices are coming down. And the great thing about interest rates is you and I, as investors, we do not pay interest on our properties. In fact, we don't pay our taxes. We don't pay for repairs. We don't pay for property managers, our insurance, meaning we don't have to get a job to do this. We have our tenants pay for that in the form of rent. And then all the money comes to us and we pay out to the bills. But that's what I'm saying is, even though interest rates are seemingly high, which this is not high, 6% is not high. It has been as high as 17% in the past. So be glad you're getting 6 to 7% now. And you also get all those tax write-offs. You get the cash flow. You capture equity. Real estate doubles every 15 years in value. So you buy one house right now that's $150,000. In 15 years, it'll be $300,000 worth. And 15 years later after that, it'll be $600,000 on top of the cash flow that you're going to be making. Oh my goodness, it's absolutely insane. I want you to get started just like my student. Now let's jump in to today's show where I interview one of our Master Passive Income students who has done this. In 4 months, bought 4 properties. All right, here we go with Josh Livingston, one of our success students. Here we go. Joshua Livingston, thank you so much for being here on the show with me.
Thanks for having me, Dustin. It's exciting. It's definitely a pleasure.
Man, this is so great. I love bringing on people like regular, everyday people that have been able to invest in real estate because a lot of people think, oh man, that's for the wealthy, or you have to have a lot of education or experience or whatever it might be. But at the same time, that might be the case where those things help. A lot of money definitely helps. A lot of education, a lot of, like say experience definitely helps, but anybody can do this. And so Josh, talk to us a little bit about how you just started, like you got started investing in real estate, listening to podcasts and really just jumping in. Talk to us about what you were doing before and then what really got you into investing in real estate.
Actually, I mean, even before, the pandemic, it just kind of changed how we did our jobs, how we lived our daily lives. My 9 to 5 is, it's a government job. I know, Dustin, you've been there too. Just decided it was only going to take me so far. I wanted to take a more active role and be in the driver's seat of like, okay, well, I mean, I can like hope for promotions, like, all this stuff, but real estate's always kind of been in the back of my mind. So like walking on breaks and lunches, listen to podcasts, and, and yours was, one of them that I would listen to just routinely. And, but yeah, so I was just gaining so much like free information from you. Like, honestly, I got a lot, to use the term value add, just straight out of the free content. I mean, it didn't quench the thirst for more. So when I saw other opportunities, so like, okay, I'm definitely buying the program. I want to see like what else is there. But yeah, Rubicon, that was when everything kind of launched. I'd been saving. I had a side hustle that was just bringing me, a few hundred extra bucks, and I was just, letting that just bank onto the side. Wasn't dipping into that so that I could get that first down payment. I know, you say that your first investment is in yourself, and that's what I was trying to do. I'm like, oh man, that was the big scary hurdle. I'm like, oh, I got, like who has, enough for a down payment, these days, like who saves anymore? Uh, it was never my strong suit, but,
That's
uh,
very true.
if I had this extra money that was just never part of my budget, through a side hustle, that's really what did it. And then, well, this past December, mom, well, she had taken sick last year, but she passed in December. And that was kind of the catalyst. I said, I can't sit on the sidelines. I did have a, small inheritance there that was enough to push me over my financial goal there to make that first purchase. So then I was ready to shop, and it was actually shortly before I got to come to RubeCon. So the timing actually worked out pretty great.
I'm really sorry to hear that. My mom passed away. It was 2017. She was only 57 years old, and it's definitely it makes you kind of wake up to realize that life is very short. And anybody that says, talks about their parents, I say, well, make sure you call them up all the time. Like, talk to them more than you think you should, because when they're gone, you're going to wish that you could talk to them. I wish I could call my mom. I mean, that's basically every single day. And so it's just a bummer. But then it was great that your mom was able to leave you something that is benefiting you now. And that's what we're doing here with Master Passive Income, buying real estate, creating generational wealth that we can leave a legacy for our family so that they can have real estate, they can have passive income. So I love that you literally started moving forward. So you joined the Real Estate Wealth Builders membership. That's the membership. We do group coaching, have all these courses, and the community, which is great. You're active in the student community, which is so helpful. Like, people get encouraged when you're sharing all your wins and encouraging them, giving them insights and ideas. And then with that, you went to RubeCon, so the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, and where you actually bought the ticket to RubeCon before you joined the membership, and then started joining the membership, started going, and then went to RubeCon. And from RubeCon, which was in March, and we're recording this, it says September 1st. From that point forward, from RubeCon to September, so March to September, you've already got 4 units. I mean, you're moving so well. You have another one under contract, I believe. So walk us through that first property, because usually the first property is the hardest one to get.
It was, I mean, not just, from a technical standpoint, but just emotional. I had never bought a house before. Yeah. I'd always rented, and, so that was already a hurdle I knew I was going to be facing. But, so with the momentum of RubeCon, because honestly, that was a huge perspective change for me. Like, I mean, the monthly calls are fantastic, the sense of community, but RubeCon, it's just being in person that made it real. And, I use that to fuel me, and to that, you get that inner voice sometimes when you're about to do something big and scary. I've never done this before. And I'm like, okay, wait, no, I know 100 guys who have just spent the weekend talking about things just like this that we've done. So I kept that in the back of my mind whenever, I'm signing the papers, or I'm making that first offer. I mean, that was scary, because I'm thinking like,
and I want to pause for a quick second and share that, honestly, I really want you to invest in real estate. Now, my new goal is to help 1 million people invest in real estate. So 2 things I would ask from you. Number 1, if you get anything out of this episode, please share it with somebody else. Just say, hey, check out Dustin and Master Passive Income. He really wants to help 1 million people to invest in real estate. That's number 1. Number 2, I want to get you to invest in real estate. Get my real estate investing course absolutely for free. Text the word rental, RENTAL, to 33777. Rental to 33777. I'll literally give you my course, show you how to find an area of the country to invest, how to build the business first. I always talk about that, and how to find the right properties, how to make sure you're getting experts to do the work for you, and scale the business to where you're making $250 or more in passive income. Scale it to quit your job. I'll literally get to you, or go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course. Obviously, it'll be in the description, but I really, really want you to invest in real estate, because the more that actual, normal, everyday people own real estate, the better everybody's life gets.
What if they accept it? And I'm like, I obviously I want them to accept my offer, but like I said, just new things are always scary. I inherited, one property, but that's not one of the ones that I'd purchased, and that one later on is going to be a rental, but because it's next door to, that was mom's house, so one day that'll be a rental, but not including that one. I've made 3 purchases. I've got one under contract. That first one though didn't do everything perfect. I did, everything that, I thought I was covering all bases. I didn't do bad. It's still, it's still a win. It's still, that one brings about a little over $300 a month. But yeah,
What do you mean not bad? $300 a month is a lot of money in passive income. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I had some surprises later on after the buy, because I didn't realize that the house was going to need rewired, and that is an expense.
I've been there. There. And especially, I had 2 properties personally. So I was buying 2 properties at the same time, relatively back to back. And I had a bunch under contract, and I was closing on 2 of them, and both of them out of nowhere. I didn't realize this, but in one specific area of the country, Ohio, if the electricity had been off for a year, then it has to be reinspected by the city. And if it doesn't pass current electrical, this is something like you wouldn't know unless you went through it. And me being a coach, I'd literally tell my students, hey, watch out for this because it can happen. And so they said it has to go all the way up to code. So it was back in code 40 years ago, but now it's literally out of code. So now you get to spend $3,500, $4,000 and that was 2 houses for me to do repair both houses. But those things happen, and they come with, you're going to grow from that with knowledge. And obviously being a part of the Real Estate Wealth Builders membership and Rubicon as well, asking questions where we're all working together. These are all insights that only really come with experience and being around other people who have had these experiences. So you got that first property that's making $300 a month in passive income. And obviously this is a barrier, like $250 is the minimum. And that is for the good times and the bad times. Like, we want to make sure we're getting $250, because sometimes it might dip into your passive income where you thought you're normally making $300, but there was a big expense. You didn't see that. Now it's dropped down to like $150 or something like that. But we always want to have $250. Now, I got to ask, how quickly did the second property come after that first property? Because I know what I've seen with my students, but I want to see what you say.
I closed on my first property April 19th, and I closed on my second May 31st.
so a little more, like not even a month and a half, like a little over a month. And I absolutely, that you're not outlier. Everybody, like literally all of my students, because the hardest part is building the business. And we talk about this all the time, building the business so that it runs itself. That's the hardest part. But as soon as you have that, it's just finding the right inventory and buying it. And so, no joke, that's like literally what happens within a month, maybe at most 2 months. The second property comes, where the first property takes years to get to. Then you get the first property, second property is like boom, right like that.
Yeah, you're right. It really did, because I felt like I was shopping around forever, and I was daily, multiple times a day, talking with my real estate agent. And thank goodness she had, the patience of a saint, because she was always, ready and willing to answer any questions. I had what I thought I was just asking silly questions, and so she was a great, but she would make suggestions to me. I find things on Zillow all the time. I was just like glued to Zillow. In my market area, and I say, hey, what about this one? And because I'd run through the numbers, like, as long as the numbers work, hey, I'm happy. And I have to say, Dustin, I absolutely love your green light tool. The
green light deal analyzer.
Yes. I use that on every single property that I analyze. Because the 1% rule is great. As just kind of like a cursory, but if I want to see, like, okay, well, brass tacks, is this actually something that can work? It's just that that tool helps make sense for me. So it gives me more confidence in, like, okay, I'm not forgetting something. It's all accounted for.
That's terrific. Yeah. And so for everybody listening, what Josh is talking about is the 1 minute green light deal analyzer. And that has really helped me too, because there's so many different calculations and so many different criteria that you want to make sure you hit. And as best as I did, I made a calculator, and it has been helping me so much. And obviously, Joshua, I'm so glad you shared that, because that has just been it's just a game changer. if you get the 1 minute green light deal analyzer. And so, yeah, but you can go to my site if you want to check that out. Now, Joshua, so from there, you are continually building and buying more properties. Now, do you mind sharing where you are investing? Like what city, what state, and why you even pick that?
I live in a pretty small town. I've been investing in my hometown. It's a small area of Southern Ohio, and there was just part of looking in Zillow. I had originally thought, okay, I'll take a look and see what the market looks like in places like Cincinnati and Cleveland and Columbus, larger metro areas. Like maybe I'll hit a suburb and find a honeypot there. And so while I was looking for other markets, I kept seeing things that were popping up on Zillow practically in my backyard, like one that was like half a mile from my house. I'm like, hey, that's actually a pretty cool property there. That would make me some money. That was my first offer. I mean, I didn't, that sale didn't happen. Looking back, I'm glad it didn't. But
Without an inspection, like there's something they're hiding if they say, no, you cannot have an inspection period. Like, well, then you cannot have my offer. You're not going to take my money at all.
I mean, that was just kind of what got me nudged in that direction, because I'm like, okay, I'm still looking at the other areas, but I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to be taking this seriously, in my local area, which I never thought, my God, it's kind of a small area, maybe there's not going to be deals like that. I'm like, nobody's making this kind of money and where they're actually cash flowing it, because I always heard rental prices were different than what they turned out to be. But I'm like, well, who's even going to do a property manager? Well, I did some asking around and actually just actively looking for stuff for that. I guess I'd never really asked, never thought to, but I hadn't seen any signs. So I didn't think there were any property managers in my area. I was very wrong. Found one that, I really click with, and, and she's been great, very helpful. Once I located her, she had a bunch of contacts and, some handyman, electrician. Of course, me being from the area, there were a few that I already, had in my network. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll make offers in my local area too.
That's great. I love how you were already ready to invest out of your area, because a roadblock a lot of people have when they start looking at investing, and it's like, man, in my area, I can't find any properties. And they feel like that's a limitation, meaning they have to invest in the same city that they live in, which is definitely not the case. We invest all over the country, wherever there is a good area that we build the business first, that we can find good inventory, which means the properties that we buy is good inventory. When we can find a good area, we're going to invest there because we're not the experts. We want to hire experts that are going to do the work for us. So that is fantastic. So Joshua, talk to us about when you were going to get your first property, how you're a part of RoopCon as well as the Real Estate Wealth Builders membership, the group coaching that I do. How did that help you to move the needle, like to actually move on these properties, and then maybe anything that you might have learned throughout the process?
Looking back, I think that it helped me with that first purchase is just, like I said, the confidence, but it nudged me to just not be afraid and just, jump in, do it. I mean, do your due diligence, do your research, but like once you've done like the analytical stuff and like, okay, the numbers work, we've hashed that out, then all the nerves and stuff, like, yeah, they can be there, but you're going to do it anyway because, you feel that support of the community. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I used to think that was just kind of like a cheesy thing. Like, people say like, oh, we got this, great community. And then you get there and like, nobody's talking. And, and I'm like, no, I've met these guys, these, men and women from all over the country. And I'm like, I mean, I can shoot a message anytime, but anyway, just having that backing, just friends. I mean, that's all a network is just friends and acquaintances and such. But that's what pushed me to go ahead, make that offer. They'd counter, come back with something, and I'd make adjustments. Once we locked in, we had, the property inspection, which of course was that one, the inspector that I wanted to go with he was overbooked because I did a 10-day inspection. Well, I know, Dustin, you typically go with a 10 days. For me, with the inspector that I like, he is the best priced in my area. Just because he's got lower overhead. but I've got to give him more time. So I don't do it with anything less than 14-day inspection period. And so I've done that several times. So I actually spoke with him earlier today. He did an inspection on the one I got under contract. So that's 3 of the 4, contracts. He's been my inspector. So yeah. But just bumping that, learning from the first one, I was able to just make that shift from 10 to 14 in my particular area. That
And you can. And I always say,
Yeah.
like, the minimum of $250 a month in passive income, that's the minimum. Same thing, 10-day inspection period, that's the minimum. If you can get a 50 or a full inspection period, like let's say it's a 45-day closing, you say, hey, I want a 45-day inspection period, that would be fantastic. Like, let's absolutely do that. Sellers don't always like that. And so, but yeah, if you get to 14 days, that's just fantastic too. So you now have another one on the contract. Talk to us about how that one's going and how are you going to continually scale your business to buy the next property?
the one that I've got under contract right now, that one has been a roller coaster. Just I've been watching it for months, since March. It's been on Zillow, and he wanted, originally he was asking the 115, and I I know my market here, locally, and I'm like, he's all the comparables. I'm like, I don't see how he's asking 115 for that. But anyway, it was always on my Zillow. I'd made an offer when he, back in, I think, March or April. I mean, of course, he never took me up on that, because I was looking for something. I think I came in at about 65 or 66 on that offer. Cause I'm like, hey, my numbers are crushing if I get that. So I'll throw it out there, see if he comes back and actually wants a deal. But I get a notification, Zillow, he had dropped the price considerably. So after some back and forth negotiation on the price, I was able to lock that one in for, he ended up coming down more than 25,000. It was about $75,000. This one excited me because I love the location of it. Everything looks like it's going to be ready to go pretty much turnkey, because he's not been there very long, but he's put a lot of new modernization into it. It's just, very fancy and clean on the inside. Fresh paint, but it reminded me of the proximity to local hospitals. I thought, okay, this is someday that maybe I could rent this out to traveling nurses or something, or turn it into an Airbnb, just because that neighborhood, would actually be a nice one for that. But I wasn't going to make a buy without it at least making sense with the numbers with the long-term rental. The negotiations, we finally got it set on a number, which I thought was going to be the hard part. But then just, I'm not sure what was going on with the seller's agent. He wasn't maybe relaying everything, or just not conveying the message of what I was trying to go for. Cause I'm making these offers, and he's wanting a possession 30 days after close, which is not uncommon. But I'm like, God, that wasn't going to be a good fit for me. Like, I'd be happy to lease it back to him. But I feel, like it would be easier. I'd be in a better position if I had to remove him as a tenant. I'd actually have probably an easier process and less costly.
Ohio's not that bad. Honestly, Ohio's not that bad for evicting people. And I love the idea of that you're actually going to put him in a lease. It could be a zero this first month, but if he stays longer, then it's like, $500 more than the market rent or something, whatever. Like you're putting teeth to it to get him out. But at the same time, if you have a lease, you can evict them. They're a tenant now. So definitely get that in place.
And I'd been talking to him about, like a 3% close. They slapped that down, and like, okay, well, they kind of, like, as a gesture, they're coming back with $500. But then everything just went silent. We weren't hearing back from the seller's agent. Like, okay, well, we agreed on a number. Why is this not working? I think the seller's agent was on vacation, and he just maybe had too many irons in the fire. So I decided, well, he is in my local area. I jumped on Facebook, and I found we've got some mutual friends. So I connected with the seller directly. I shot him a message. I said, hey, can you give me a call when you get a chance? And so, later on he did. We chatted, and turns out, we've actually been at the ball fields at the same time before, our kids playing sports, small world that way. But I mean, within 10-minute conversation, I was like, okay, what was a roadblock? I just determined I wanted to see that as an opportunity to, solve a problem and, get creative. So I said, look, I'd be happy to lease that back to you, because he was afraid of moving so quickly, like having the deal. And if it came down to the closing table and it just didn't happen, then his family's uprooted and he's just, got that uncertainty. I'm like, look, I understand that. So like, I got him, a 30-day lease, in the contract. That's the agreement. And that 500 that he was going to put toward closing, I said, look, we'll call that rent.
That's great. I mean, that's what we are as investors. We're problem solvers. We figure out what a problem that the seller has, and we fix that problem for them, or we help as best as we can to what's going to benefit us, but also benefit them as well. So that's super creative, jumping on Facebook and actually contacting the seller. Man, I love that. So, man, Joshua, so it's been so great information. Now, you are active inside the Slack community where people can connect with you too. So for everybody listening, if you want to join and chat with Joshua about all of his stuff and everything he's doing, if you join the membership, you'll be in there with him. And Joshua, you're 100% right. Like I always thought, yeah, when somebody talks about the community that they have, like the networking that goes on, it's kind of like it's an ancillary thing. No, it's actually a big deal. And I only know that now. Like I always kind of wrote it off. But now that I'm actively in it and participating in it and facilitating it, it is so much better because, man, you don't feel like you're alone. You feel like you're with everybody else, especially like we have a community for the student community in Master Passive Income. So all the students are in there. We also have another one for RubeCon. So if you go to the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, we have another community. Like you're automatically put into that community to be a part of the conversation, helping each other out. It's phenomenal. So Joshua, this has been so great. I really appreciate you coming on and encouraging everybody because like I said, I've always tried to say, regular everyday people can do this. And so I really appreciate you. And so Joshua, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing all your insights. And man, I'm rooting for you. So you're doing a great job.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And just lighting the spark and, giving me a little bit better direction. So I really do feel like I'm finally in the driver's seat of building that future that, I don't think that I could have gotten anywhere else.
Well, hey, you keep it up. I'm looking forward to seeing by RubeCon 2023. Now, if anybody else wants to go, you can use the promo code podcast. It'll give you 10% off. I just want you to go. But you'll be able to hang out with Joshua there and me, obviously, and all the other people. It's going to be so awesome. But yeah, I look forward to hanging out with you again at RubeCon 2023. But man, thanks again, buddy. It's great seeing you again. And that is it for today. Go ahead and get my free real estate investing course. Text the word rental to 33777. RENTAL to 33777. You can also join my Real Estate Wealth Builders group coaching. Get all my courses. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next show. See ya.